Hello there. I was not expecting for my last video to get more than 500 views, but fucking hell, here we're currently sitting at the time of recording at 3.5k views. I want to say thank you for sitting through a half-hour video of me ranting and saying good thing bad or like thing bad. I was thinking of waiting and getting more information on Limbus, since right now I feel like they showed a lot, but I feel like they need to get into depth about some more stuff. Then I'll see if I'll make a video or not. So I'm going to wait till the end of the teasers to consider making an update video of sorts on the last one I made. But right now, I need to talk about this. I ranted about Limbus for half an hour. Now watch me do it again with Leviathan. I want to actually talk about two things. That being Leviathan and the PreRegistration event. I want to end up making this video as short as possible, so I'm doing this with a script instead of improvising like my last video. Yeah, I know, soulless. Anyhow, I have to talk about the PreRegistration event. Well, I don't have to, but I wanna. I'm gonna give you some background info on it first though. So, on April 1st, somebody leaked that on the Limbus company website, if you typed in trip booking, you would see this. What is this, you may ask? This is a pre-registration event. What that means is that for the amount of followers and subscribers Project Moon gets on their stuff, you get free shit when the game launches. How did this leak? It's a job probably. Oh boy, rant time! I should clarify that I've always thought that these type of pre-registration events are always kinda scummy, but I have a particular problem with this one. My main point being that, have you seen what the fuck they're asking for? 300,000 followers combined through Twitter and YouTube. 150,000 each, at least. If you watch my last video, I said that I think that there aren't gonna be enough people for the gacha to strive for a long time. But my god, you expect 300,000 people? You fucking idiot. And I hope that this is still locked in the game, and I don't have any reason to think that they wouldn't be, because otherwise they'll be actually just fucking greedy. Right now, they started putting out weekly teasers, but from April 1st all the way to 27th, there was fucking nothing to show. So they barely gained any followers. It seems like they reach a goal of 10,000 followers every month, but that's with spamming teasers weekly. My question is, after the character introductions and maybe 1 to 2 bits of gameplay, what next? Radio silence? Fan art on Twitter? I don't know. They have a Tokyo Game Show panel, so that may attract new players, but I think it may attract at most like 10,000 people. As of July 20th, they're at 131,000 followers. If they only reach a goal of 10k every month, and they plan to release in winter, so at most March, will they even get past 210,000? I have started to see posts on Twitter trying to push people to follow and subscribe to get a potential boost and reach the max reward, but I still don't think that there's anything to do to get 200,000 followers and get all rewards. They should have put the max reward at 150,000. I think they overestimated themselves. Either way, nothing can be fixed by botting or spending your entire budget on marketing. Please come back to this segment when the registration event is over to see if I was right or wrong. I think I've spoken long enough about this. I do not like it one bit. Now on to the second part of the video, Leviathan. I'm going to be real with you. I don't think even half of the community reads this. Same thing that happened to the Distortion Detective, I know, but this one feels like it has even less eyes on it. For example, I still see a lot of art of Diaz, Moses, Ezra, Yuria, and a fuck ton for Vespa. But for Leviathan, I only see a bit of Lapis, maybe Virgil and Garner now and then. Apart from that, I think people don't care. But that's just my opinion. I need to talk about the important stuff. I actually was preparing to talk about Leviathan for a bit, and I had worries about how the project was being handled. The chapters were being released at a slow pace, and it sadly all accumulated to the announcement that Leviathan, the comic, would be cancelled. The announcement was kinda worrying, for me at least, due to it saying that the reason it didn't go well was due to him not being able to focus on two different projects equally. The announcement does at least mention that Leviathan would still continue in web novel form, which we then saw in form of Chapter 12, released June 28th, and it will continue in that form from now on. Not a good sign since the story detective got discontinued, but whatevs. That's a joke. There's one problem though, at least for the English version. Changing this to web novel hasn't fixed the slow pace of translations. Actually, it did for chapter 12, but for every other chapter, it takes a good bit to translate, which actually, for the web novel, it made the translation even slower. For chapter 13, for example, it took 12 days to translate. This is something I've had a problem with for a while. But with Project Moon's budget, I think that it's time to get more than 2 translators. What's in a need do their jobs fine, but you can't put all the pressure on just 2 people. That is, if there are still 2 people translating it. I don't know the inner working, but the last time we heard something about translation front of Project Moon, it was the Cool Kids Club were fully merging with Project Moon and working directly under them. And in the video it shows 2 dudes, so hey, I'm still thinking just 2 dudes working on it. And seeing this happen, I'm worried that it might be overworked. Talk about overworked, if I remember correctly, and I could be pulling this off my ass, so correct me in the comments, but I remember Reina only having 1 Japanese translator. So I have no clue if they still have only 1 Japanese translator, but if it could already be a burden for 2 people, imagine how much it is for one. Currently it's been 19 days and chapter 13 was not translated to Japanese. So like I mentioned, I do really want to know if there's still only 2 people for English and 1 person for Japanese. Because at this point it's time to expand. Especially if you want to also make them translate the entire gacha. But back on topic, there's another problem with the English releases. They forget to mention that it's translated on Twitter. Chapter 13 has been translated for 7 days at the time of recording. But there's no announcement that it was translated. Same thing goes for chapter 10. Anyhow, there's a bigger problem I have personally with Leviathan. And it's one that bloomed in my head when chapter 14 was released. I don't like this. Chapter 14 spoilers, beware. So, chapter 14, this chapter is definitely one that to me was a bit of an insult because now it feels like Leviathan wasn't mostly trying to set up Virgil and Dante, but was trying to get a good reason in to why the gacha exists. Before we go into detail, this was something that people started to be pretty wary of when Purple Tear released in Brina. Universe hopping is very risky to put to your story. This chapter solidifies that Purple Tear cursed the franchise. So, chapter 14. Chapter prior, Garnet gets cornered and rifts activate behind him. This chapter we see what's in those rifts. That being alternate versions of Garnet. Oh, sorry, let me rephrase that. In the rifts there are already established characters played by Garnet. With the exception of an original one, which I wish they actually fucking gave an entire chapter instead of putting it here. So, we get to see him just try to replicate Lulu, somebody from She, Master of the Ring, and most importantly, Roland. Afterwards he comes back and it's all cool and like, guys, look at me, I'm now other characters, I'm just like them now, I'm really strong now. I genuinely think this is bad writing, which to me is a first since I always think that the strongest part of any Project Moon project is the writing. But this time around, I feel the way this got thrown in is both a bit rushed and also really weird. Like I've said before, this really looks to me like it was just made to justify the gacha. I'm not mad that Garnet is able to survive a almost impossible doom, because get it guys? Garnet, high reflection rate, get it? I'm more just really thrown off at the things that they did portray here, because this isn't just X person is a different job. This is being used as X is now this character. And the sad part about this is that they've shown with this that there is no line that won't be crossed. If you can become Roland, you bet your ass you're gonna get Roland for Limbus too. The way they try to justify this is with next chapter Garnet jobbing, so it's supposed to show that, hey, it can't fix your combat experience, which means actually nothing, since how are you gonna portray that in Limbus? You can say now it won't help you to that extent, but I am not gonna be surprised if Roland, for example, is an SSR and becomes one of the best things in the game just because of the high rarity and color. Most importantly, wow, that chapter afterwards is really just trying to make you think how cool he is by having him mimic stuff from other characters. If Limbus weren't forced into a gacha, you would 100% have seen this. That is something I truly believe. I guess at least he has his own goals and morals when he's back, but still, having shown that the alternate timelines are him being whoever he wants to, with actually no limit or boundaries, and then being able to use the power of those characters like he pulled it out of the Raymond sack is something I do feel like is just badly written. And no, it's not because of gacha stuff. I genuinely just think that having a character just try to be other characters by mimicking their abilities is just weak. And yeah, I do not like how these characters are being used just because, hey, you remember them, you've played Rena, so you like them. Instead of using something original like, hey, you have all these officers we haven't seen yet, please use them. At this point, I believe I'm biased about this stuff, but also I think that people who actually like Rena and the stuff done with it aren't that big of a fan of having Rando number 8 being able to just replicate characters that are loved from Rena just for power scaling. So yeah, I think I will end the rant here. I think that Purple Tear's introduction originally was a sign for this to come, but fucking hell, I didn't know it was going to be to this extent. I don't like the way it's handled, that nobody's out of a picture, and you bet you're gonna get those characters too for Limbus. It feels like a cheap way to make you care by having other characters you do actually care about being dragged along to make this popular. I have no clue how this multiverse is going to be handled, since there's actually no limit, which would be a good portrayal of a multiverse, but this type of stuff can flat out just kill a story when you can pull out the multiverse card to either explain stuff or use it as a get out of jail free card. And one last thing I will emphasize before closing this video, and it's something that I want to make a big point about, is that he is not just cosplaying the role, he's actually becoming the character. When he becomes Roland, he says, it's my mask. That's not yours. That's Roland's. Fuck off. Like, this generally made me dislike him more, because now he's not an actual original character when he's going around saying, oh, actually, I'm this character because I said so, and my powers I can pull out my ass can now say I'm that character. But probably whatever, since it's gonna be Dante, that's not gonna matter at all. Like, this chapter fucking jobs. So, I guess it's not that big of a problem, but still, you've shown it, you've replicated it, you've talked about it, and you've shown him as that character. So, you're not gonna undo that. That's still something that happened, and that's not a good way to write a character. Make them original, make them have their own ideas, don't make them try to be other characters. Anyway, that's all. See you when Alien shows up for no reason.